They're taking a sledgehammer to crack a bunch of coroneted nuts. For the Prime Minister already has an unimpeachable mandate, the 52% who voted for Brexit. And she should use this mandate to threaten, and if need be, to carry out a mass creation of peers who are committed to an orderly progress to Brexit. But the Prime Minister shouldn't stop at Article 50 and Brexit. The new peers should also be committed to the long overdue reform of the bloated, anachronistic, expensive and increasingly indefensible upper house.
Those of you that have been following the situation in the House of Lords and the passing of the EU withdrawal bill will know that this situation is becoming a farce. As far as I'm concerned, with its attempts to block Brexit by any means necessary, the House of Lords has signed its own death warrant. It is clear to me that this institution is no longer fit for purpose. It is at best completely irrelevant and at worst completely anti-democratic. The whole institution should be reformed or completely scrapped. So the House of Lords is using every power it has to try and frustrate the government at every turn in passing its EU withdrawal bill, trying to force in such amendments to the bill that are either completely irrelevant just to frustrate the process, or basically meaning that we haven't actually left the EU, such as forcing us to accept a customs union. But of course, the liberal elite and the political establishment are jumping to their defence, with Vince Cable calling them defenders of democracy, which I find to be an absolutely phenomenal case of doublethink. I mean, if trying to find ways of subverting a democratic vote makes you a defender of democracy, then Robert Mugabe was a real paragon of liberty. But for those not completely and utterly marred in the mires of ideological fanaticism in favour of the EU, we can see it for what it really is. An unelected institution trying to thwart a democratic vote.
Do you not feel any sense of shame or embarrassment, Lord Newby, that you are defying the will of the British people in these votes as an unelected peer?
Not a shred, because we're not defying the will of the British people. What we're saying is that we think the bill can be improved and that the Commons should think again about it. The Commons decides. The point of the House of Lords is if it disagrees with what the Commons has said in the first instance, we ask them to think again. That's what we do on every bit of legislation.
But there's
what we've done on this one.
But there's a difference. No, we're dealing with the Dangerous Dog Act or something, and you're trying to say, well, that's a crossbreed, and actually you haven't really thought through how that would work. That's different from a decision that was made by the British people, given by the House of Commons to the British people, and enacted very, very, very clear statements about what Brexit meant. I mean, the only people who seem to be confused about what Brexit meant are the Remoaners like yourself. Everyone else seems very clear.
As you might expect from these worms, their justifications as for why they are frustrating the process are incredibly flimsy. They are saying that what they are doing is perfectly constitutional, but that itself is a complete lie. Under the Salisbury Convention, anything that is in a government's manifesto should not pass a third reading in the House of Lords. The House of Lords have blocked the EU withdrawal bill more than 12 times. There is an excellent article in Spectator by Brendan O'Neill, and I think he is absolutely spot on when he compares the situation to the Lords blocking the people's budget by the Liberal government at the beginning of the 20th century. And he raises a very good question. Where is the uproar? Especially from the left, who are supposed to be the ultimate paragons of democracy and who are constantly criticising unelected institutions like the House of Lords. Where is their outcry over this? It is complete hypocrisy, especially from the left and even from some on the right, who are just allowing this to happen when, if it came on any other issue besides Brexit, they would be furious. We even have this dribbling idiot in The Independent admit the inconsistency. He says, the House of Lords shouldn't exist because it's undemocratic, but because it's blocking Brexit, I'm happy.
Establishment is they are so completely wedded to the European Union. You see it in the unelected House of Lords, where they're abusively rude about the British people that voted to leave. I think one of them said that we need to bring them to heel. Another one said that you know, they need to be shown the failure of their attitude. I mean, it was just really, and also stupid, endlessly referred to as stupid, thick, unintelligent, misled, didn't understand what they were voting for. What, so all those who voted to remain all knew what they were voting for, did they? And the ones who voted to leave didn't. I mean, it's just astonishing, really.
But sadly, this is indicative of a much larger problem for me. The House of Lords is unelected and therefore undemocratic. This not only makes it illegitimate, but often it means it doesn't have the confidence to adequately challenge the House of Commons. There needs to be a fundamental reform of this institution. This could either come in the form of a codification of their constitutional rights, so that they know what is acceptable and what isn't. It could also come in the form of an elected second chamber. But either way, this whole Brexit situation has proven one thing. This needs to change. And just like the people's budget of the early 20th century, this needs to be a trigger point for reform.
The new House of Lords must be much smaller, largely elected, weighted to the regions and the four nations, and, above all, its legislative role and its subordination to the Commons must be put beyond doubt by a written constitution. For our much vaunted unwritten constitution is now, as the antics of the judges and the peers demonstrate, a source of major instability in this time of national crisis. Theresa May has seen off the Etonians. She needs to call time on the House of Lords.